One. Today we're going to do a yoga class that's a little bit of emphasis on joint flexibility, a little hip opening and shoulder opening. So a class that'll be good for your joints. So go ahead and start standing. Just find yourself grounding in, feet comfortably under the hips. Lift all your toes and spread them back down. Great. And breathe. We're going to shift our body side to side, so just let your body weight go from one leg to the other, side to side. Great. And then coming center, shifting forward and back. So the feet are going to stay planted, and we're going to go as far as we're able to, forward and back. And then make a circle, so go forward and side and back. Keeping the feet on the mat. You might feel your feet gripping to hold on, and then reverse your circle. And breathe. Keeping that breath deep and full. Great. And coming back to center, we're going to hula hoop our hips. Nice and big. Big circle of the hips. Letting the knees go, letting the ribs go. The shoulders go, and then the other direction a few times, and breathe. Great. And then coming back to center, the shoulders are going to roll back, so up and back and down. Nice big circle. Yeah. And then bringing the elbow into it, right? Circling the elbow up and back and down. And then the arm, the straight arm, backstroke. And letting that rotation sort of happen as you follow your arm back, your body's going to go into a little twist. Yeah. And then coming back to center, we'll go the other direction. Shoulder goes back and up, forward and down. And then the elbow is going to join in, right? Nice big circle of the elbow. And we're breathing. Nice. And then the arm, so reaching it all the way back and around. You might want to go a little slowly to help your shoulder feel safe, right? And then following your arm back. So we're adding a little rotation. And then we're going to bring our opposite leg into the picture. So as your left arm comes forward, the right knee lifts. As your right arm comes forward, the left knee lifts. So challenging our balance as we do this sort of slow motion walk. If you need to bend your arm behind you, feel free to do so. Whatever's comfortable for your shoulder. Like a slow motion walk. Yeah. Great. And then coming back to stillness. So we're letting our arms go out. We're going to swan dive forward into jackknife and forward fold. And then back into jackknife and lift. And swan dive down into jackknife, forward fold. Back into that flat back and lift up. Good. One more swan dive and forward fold, and you can stay here. If this is where you may need your block for your hands underneath, but just let your body relax, let your head dangle. Good. Relax everything. Then we're going to widen our feet apart, toes pointed forward, and take your hips to the right. Great. And back to center, and then take your hips to the left. Feeling that stretch on the inner thigh, groin area. Back to center. We're going to walk our hands away from our feet into a nice wide-legged down dog. So here we have our body weight kind of in the center between your hands and your feet, reaching your heels down. Just let your body shift forward toward your hands and then rock back towards your legs. And again, forward toward your hands and back toward your legs. And then walk your hands back till they're in front of you. Turn the heels in, toes pointed out. Bend the knees, come up onto the fingertips, flattening the back, reaching through the crown, opening the knees, and then hands come to the thighs to lift up to horse pose. Just relax your shoulders back and down. As we inhale, we feel our diaphragm expanding down into the pelvic floor. Pelvic floor opens. And then as we exhale, everything lifts back up. Great. And then we're going to straighten our left leg, then our right leg. And then bend the left leg, right leg. Straighten and straighten, bend, bend. And then the other direction. Straightening the right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg. Right? And then once we come back into our horse pose, we're going to stay here for another couple breaths. Let's draw our right shoulder in and turn and look behind our left shoulder as we gently press into that right thigh. Keep the knee opening. And then back to center. Turn your left shoulder in, pressing into your left thigh as you turn and look behind your right shoulder. And coming back to center. Great. And then we're going to straighten our legs, turn to point your toes, right toes forward, letting your left leg turn in as much as it wants to, right? And then bending into that right leg. So we're going to take our right arm straight up and place the back of our left hand up our back. Pull that shoulder back, bending your right elbow. Try to reach your hands towards each other. You may even be able to clasp your hands back here. I'm not able to, but just sort of reaching, let the hands reach for each other, lifting that right elbow, pulling the left shoulder back, and breathe, opening the heart. Here. Head stays lifted. And extending that right arm up, left arm down, the back leg, turn your palm to face back into proud warrior. Stretch a little bit away, arms away from each other. And then we'll come into warrior two. And side angle pose, so that arm goes on your right thigh as your left arm reaches by your ear, looking up. And then we'll go ahead and lift up back into our Virabhadrasana 2. And relaxing our arms to face forward. We'll turn and point the left toes and letting your right leg turn in as much as it wants to, bending into that left leg. Then your left arm's going to reach up, right arm to the back, bending the elbow, sort of opening that right shoulder, lifting the left elbow, feeling your chest and your heart open here. Take some deep breaths. Hands are working towards each other. Pressing that right heel down. Extending your left arm up, letting your right arm go down that right leg. So you reach, turning your palm to face back into Proud Warrior. And you can deepen more into that bent knee if you like. Passing up through Virabhadrasana 2 and into the side angle. Arm extends. You're looking under your arm, stretching it by your ear. And then coming back through Warrior 2 one more time. Good. And relax your arms. Bring your legs straight and just step your feet together. Come to whatever end of your mat you want to come to and just let yourself have a little roll down to the mat. So the body hang here, let your head relax. Turn your toes out and lower down into garland. If this isn't available to you, hands together at the heart, you may want to just do a half squat or just come onto your mat on your hands and knees. Great. Now we'll bring our hands forward into our table position. Spread your fingers wide, inhaling as you draw your heart forward, shoulders down, lift your tailbone, and then exhaling to round, curling the tailbone under, rounding back, cat-cow. So inhaling as you draw the shoulders down, lift the tailbone, exhale, round, curling the tailbone under. Good. And again, one more. Nice deep breath. And coming back to neutral. If you need extra padding for your wrist, you might need extra padding. You can roll up your mat, have something under your wrist, but we're going to take our right hand maybe a little bit up and to the side, widening your stance with that hand. Spread your fingers wide. Extend your right leg back with your toes tucked. Make sure your pelvis is level and place your left hand on your heart. So we're going to rotate to the left. Rotate our heart to the left and just let that arm extend, making sure that your arm is in line with your shoulder. Your hips are level. So you think more of pulling the shoulder back a little bit than the arm, right? And breathe. And bringing your arm overhead, thumb points up. You're going to lift that right leg up. And breathe. Then right knee bends, left arm reaches back to grab hold of your foot, pulling the shoulder back, lifting that knee. Tiger pose. Great. And then releasing back to the mat. Go ahead and stretch back on your heels for a moment. Coming off the wrists. And we'll come up for the other side. So spreading your left fingers nice and wide, and you might need to bring your hand a little forward and out so that it's not directly under your shoulder, and it might feel more stable for this. And then make sure your pelvis is level, right hand to the heart. You're going to rotate to the right and extend that arm up, and pulling the shoulder back, and breathe. And that arm comes forward, thumb points up as we lift our left leg. And take deep breaths here. Bending the left leg, reaching around, grabbing hold with your right hand, pulling the shoulder back, lifting the knee up. And breathe. And go ahead and release down to the mat. Let's tuck our toes and sit back onto our heels if you're able to sit all the way onto your heels for a little toe stretch. And just open and close the wrists and then roll them around. I know there's a lot of pressure on the wrists. So if you find it's too much for you, please come out of it. Right? And then bring your hands to the mat and we'll press our hips up into down dog. Letting the knees be a little bit bent so we can elongate the spine, lifting the tailbone, and then maybe working your heels down. Heads relaxed. Working the heels down as much as you can. Then bringing your right foot a little bit toward the center so you can lift that left leg straight up. Slight bend of the knee to open the hip. And breathe. And we'll reach our leg for the ceiling. Turn to face your hips toward the mat. And draw your left foot or walk it up, however you can get it there, between your hands. And coming down into our lunge. So hand on either side of the foot. Reaching your heart forward. Shoulders down. Reaching through that back heel. Allow your knee to relax down, your foot to relax down, and bring both hands to the inside of your right foot. You're going to just let your left foot, your left foot, let your knee fall open. Yeah. And then we're going to let the toes turn so they're facing more forward to come down to our right elbow. So you might need to adjust your foot and your leg a little bit. Make sure your elbow's in line with your shoulder and just sort of roll back onto that right hip. Right, so you're almost facing forward and then reach your arm up. Again, adjust the leg as much as you need to here. It's pretty intense stretch for that left hip. Just pressing your arm into the ground for support. And breathe. And then we'll bring our hands back to the mat and bring your foot back around to where it was. Tuck the back toes and straighten both legs. Just relaxing your belly on your thigh. Relax your head. And knee bends a little bit to bring that leg back into our down dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Reaching the heels down. And then maybe bringing the left foot in slightly so you can bring your right leg straight up, bending that knee, opening the hip. Relax the head. And then straightening that leg, reaching for the ceiling. Turn the hips parallel to the mat and bring that right foot between your hands. Mine needs extra help today. Hands are on either side of the foot. And you're going to lift your heart, reaching forward, draw the shoulders down, reach to your back heel. Just breathe here. Let that leg relax down, toes relax down. Hands come to the inside of your right foot. Turn your toes out a little bit and just let that knee open. And then you might need to turn your toes more and maybe even adjust your leg a bit to come onto your left elbow and roll back to that left hip. So watch that your elbow's in line with your shoulder and stretch up. Really pressing that arm into the ground for support here. Good, and breathe. Good, and hands back to the mat. Work your foot back around to where we started. Tuck your back toes and straighten both legs, relaxing your body on that front leg. And then knee's going to bend a little bit to bring it back into your down dog. One more time. Then go ahead and come onto your knees and bring yourself onto your belly into Sphinx pose. So the elbows in line with the shoulders, maybe slightly ahead of the shoulders. Palms face up. Good. And your gaze can be forward, or maybe you are able to look up if that's comfortable for you. To increase our little back bend here, relax your pelvis, letting it relax. And then turning our palms down, slowly straighten the arms into a modified cobra, adjusting your hands however you like here, drawing the shoulders down, letting your gaze be wherever you're comfortable. Just breathe. And then lowering back down to your elbows. We're going to come onto our back. So just roll onto your back. And you're going to hug your knees into your chest. Maybe you want to lift your head up and round yourself into a ball and rock around a little bit. Relax your head. Just let your body rock. And then we're going to extend our legs to the ceiling. They don't have to be straight, so whatever's comfortable. Just imagine that you have an invisible wall and your legs are resting against that wall. Okay? And we're going to flex our foot, or both feet. Start by flexing both feet and then pointing both feet. Yeah, flex and point, and then alternate. So one foot flexes, the other foot points. Yeah, and just breathe here. And relaxing the feet. We're going to rotate our legs from the very top of your legs. Internally rotate, so you're pigeon-toed. Come back to parallel, and then externally rotate your legs. So you feel the femur, the very top of your femur is rotating in the hip socket as you go in, back to parallel, and out. Back to parallel, right, rotate in, and out. And then with our legs externally rotated, we're just going to let them open out to the side. If you need to support your legs with your hands, you can do so. Just relax here, letting that stretch happen. Breathe. And then we'll bring our legs back to the top and reach for the ceiling. So imagine that there's a rope hanging, and we're going to climb that rope. So you're just going to reach and pull back down, lifting one shoulder off the ground, stretching, and then bringing it back down. And as you climb your rope, you will feel your torso doing this little twist, right? Get your whole rib cage involved here. Reach and draw down, reach and draw down. And then relax your shoulders, bend your knees, and hug your knees and rock your body. And then bring your feet onto the mat. We're going to extend our right leg straight down the mat, shift your hips over to the left a bit, and bring your left leg across your body, holding on to it, and your left arm out from your shoulder, so into a knee down twist. You might want to pull the knee slightly up and get an extra little glute stretch. And just breathe here, reaching that left shoulder down. And take a couple breaths. If you can, bend your right leg and reach down and grab hold of your foot, cat pulling its tail. Good. And so good to really let a twist have the time to deepen. Right? So you massage those internal organs. Especially this time of year, twists are really good for us. Good, extending that right leg and bringing yourself back around, bending your right leg, straightening your left leg, shifting the hips to the right a bit as you pull that knee in and across, Just let your right arm slide up, reaching your shoulder into the ground. And I like to pull my knee upward just a little bit for that extra stretch in the glute. And just breathe in your twist. And if it's available to you, cat pulling its tail, grab hold of your left foot with your right hand. And just let your shoulders sink into the mat. I could stay here all day. All right, so we're going to release that. So bring yourself back around, feet onto the mat, centering your hips. Take a nice deep breath and then exhale. We're going to press the hips up on our exhale into a bridge. Adjust your feet as needed and just keep pressing the hips up, taking a couple nice deep breaths here. And the next exhale, you're going to melt your spine, one bone at a time, all the way down. And relax the pelvis. Bring the soles of the feet together, letting your knees just fall open. And relax. See if you can kind of flatten the sacrum to the mat. Breathe. Good. And then next exhale, just float your hips up off the mat a bit and take a couple more breaths here. Really opening those hips up. And then we'll let our hips float back down. Just notice how much more open they feel. And then lifting one knee and then the other. Let's do a little windshield wiper with the legs. A little slow side to side movement. Letting the hips roll back and forth. And then coming to center, the last thing we're going to do is for the pelvis is basically the sacrum, right? Really good for your low back. So imagine you have a bowl on your belly with a marble in it. This is the best way I can describe it. So you're going to try to make that marble go around your bowl. So you might want to put your hands on your belly like a bowl. And then as you inhale, your tailbone tilts down, your back arches. And then one hip goes down, the other hip goes up. And then your tailbone tilts up. And then the other hip goes down, the other hip goes up. And your tailbone tilts down. So basically we're pressing a little circle into the mat with our sacrum. Right? So this little marble is going around your bowl and you're breathing. And just notice if your back presses into the mat completely, if there's some spots where it doesn't quite touch the mat. Right? And then we'll reverse our circle and go the other direction. Our legs aren't going to move, nothing's moving, just the sacrum. Just isolating the sacrum here. Good, and breathe. Great, and then come to center. Yes, you can go ahead and bring yourself around to your side and press yourself up to sitting and sit comfortably. Bring one arm alongside the ear, other hand on the mat, and just lean into that stretch as you press your hip down, reach, and then rotate your chest to point down, reaching that hand all the way down to the mat. And then reaching that arm out and up, facing up. Other arm goes straight up, leaning into that stretch while you press your hip down, reach, And then rotating to point the chest down. Hand comes all the way down. And facing, reaching out, facing forward, and lifting up. Great. Thank you for joining me. May your joints be flexible now. Namaste. So I will see you next time on my channel. Bye for now.